Another popular way of catching pike is with lures, artificials. And you often find that pike anglers get put into one camp or the other. You get your bait anglers and you get your lure anglers. Well, I think I'm part of a growing trend of anglers that like to do a bit of both actually. It's very rare I'll go out bait fishing and not have a lure rod with me and a couple of lures. And it's quite normal for me to reel in the bait rods, put them to one side, get the little lure rod out, a few lures into a box. Out of this little selection I've got with me here today, there's nothing too fancy. They're probably the sort of common lures that, that most casual anglers would use today. I've just put about 5 of my favourites into this box. I'm going to take that with me. I've got my rubber coated landing net. I've got a little unhooking mat. This is a smaller version. It's just right for just resting the net on to unhook a lure caught fish. And then in my pocket I've got my cutters and forceps, and I'm all ready to go for an hour's lure fishing. And if I catch anything, it'll be a bit of a bonus. If I don't, so what, I'll come back and enjoy a bit of bait fishing until it gets dark. So that's all I need: rod and reel, tools, mat, a net and the lures, and I'm off for an hour's fun, I hope. Oh, I just missed one right under the rod tip then. A lot of people don't like lure fishing, I don't know why. It's just fantastic fun, and all right, I'm catching a few small fish today, but you know, when a 25 or 30 pounder hits it, then you're talking about real fun. But going back to the bait fishing, I also use braid on my bait rods as well, because again, it's so reliable. If I was to snag up maybe on a branch or some weed, and I had to pull for a break, if I was using mono, you can bet your life that the mono will break well before the hook's straighten. But with 30 pound braid, you'll straighten the hooks and you'll get your rig back, and you won't leave a baited trace out there for a pike to swallow later. If you do insist on using mono, and a lot of people like the soft feeling of it, the cushioning effect, if you do, I would say use at least 15 pound, preferably 20 pound breaking strain mono. Believe me, the pike aren't fussy about how thick it is, but if you use a thicker line, you're less likely to break off and lose a fish and leave a trace in it. Oh, God. Well, that's what lure fishing is all about to me, the excitement. It's only a 3 pounder, but I mean, you can't beat it for fun, can you? Well, with the lure I'm using, which is a little spinner, you're likely to catch a pike or a perch, or even a zander if there's any here. I think this is a pike though. It's not a very big one, but on this light outfit, it's lovely to play it in. It's a light outfit, but the line is incredibly strong. I've got 20 pound braid on this reel, and that's been one of the great advances in protecting pike in recent years. Braided line, almost impossible to break, and it must have saved many a pike's life. Well, that was on the very first cast, and even though it's the coldest time of the year, I never neglect lures. I've caught 30 pounders at this time of year on lures, and it's always worth casting. I mean, the dead baiting's quite slow today, but they obviously wanted a bit of movement. And if you haven't got live bait, then the lure provides that movement, provided you work it properly. Now, I have got a little unhooking mat there, but there's no need to get this fish out of the water. I'm just going to get it under the chin. And this is not something that you would do unless you're experienced, but you can actually grab under the soft part of the jaw there, being very careful not to touch the delicate filaments of the gill rakers. And I can see that that spinner is only just inside the mouth. Every time you unhook a pike, I always think it's like a surgical operation. You've got to weigh up what's involved. I mean, here now I can see that one of the points is caught dangerously close to the gill rakers, so I've got to be very aware of that. So I've got to grab in a particular way, make sure I don't touch the gill rakers and it's out. Really firm grip. I mean, I can't explain to you properly how firm that grip is. If that pike decides to go for it, I've got a good grip. If I should drop it, it's over the water. No intentions of dropping it. I've got it very firm, and I've got to say that's an absolutely beautiful gravel pit pike. Wonderful fish. I'll drop it in the net, just let it recover for a few seconds. But with the water temperature at 7 degrees as it is at the moment, that fish is not going to struggle. So I'm just going to let it go. Wow, and that one's off. Well, I'm going to cast in and try and catch another one. That was absolutely brilliant fun, and that's what pike fishing's all about. While we're on the subject of fish safety, I've got something here I can show you. If you're a lure fisherman, you might be interested in the type of clip I'm using. Well, this clip, it's known as, it's made by a company called Gemini. It's called the Gemini Genie clip, and they're actually used in sea fishing. Basically, this type of clip will never open up and the lure will never come off it. Basically, it's the shape of a shepherd's crook, and you just take the lure off and you put it back on. It takes a split second, but that lure will never come off when you're fishing. I can guarantee that. I've caught thousands of fish on these type of clips. All the other types which people say are fantastic, they say they'll never open up, they'll never break. I can tell you I've seen them all break, but this one will never let you down, and it's a great aid to pike safety. Take it off, put it on, you can do it in the dark.